بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين وسيما بقية الله في الأراضين اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Now we inshallah study moral concepts, and here we will see what moral concepts are in their nature and reality, and how we come to know about them. Before we enter this discussion, I would like to draw your attention to something that we discussed in philosophy. So some of you were present, but for those who were not present, I explain now. We said general or universal concepts. Inshallah, I will talk about moral concepts later. But in general, universal concepts, we said, are divided by Muslim philosophers into three categories. And actually distinguishing between these three is one of the contributions of Muslim philosophers. Many philosophers have failed to make this distinction. I remember one of our brothers who has written a book on معقولات ثانية فلسفي, philosophical secondary intelligibles. He was saying that, and he has done his PhD in North America, that when he was trying to explain to his professors this type of mafahim, they were not recognizing it, and they were confusing and mixing up this with معقولات ثانية منطقي. Of course, I don't want to say everyone was like this, but to some extent I think this is correct, that this clear distinction that we have in Islamic philosophy may not be available in all other philosophies. So, to remind you, we said we have three types of universal concepts. One, what we call al-ma'qulat al-ula. Al-ma'qul, not ma'qul. Don't make mistake. We have maqulat and we have ma'qulat. Maqulat means categories. In the discussion about maqulat ash, 10 categories, we discussed about maqulat. What is maqulat? Ma yuqalu fi jawab mahu. So when we go to the top concepts, we call them maqulat. According to many philosophers, like Aristotle, they believed in 10 maqulat. Maqulat ash. 1 was Jawhar, 9 was Aras. We are not talking right now about maqulat. We are talking about ma'qulat. Ma'qul is from aql, not from qawl. Ma'qul is from qawl, means what is said. Ma yuqal. Ma'qul is ma yuqal. Al-ma'qulan some people translate intelligibles, those things which can be understood by aql, are either ula, which means primary, or thaniya, which means secondary. What does secondary mean here? Who remembers? Secondary means it's not primary. It can be second, it can be third, it can be fourth. When they say secondary, it doesn't mean it has to be two. It means it's not one. So, al-ma'qulatul ula, or what we call also al-mafahimul mahawiyya, are those concepts that we very easily come to recognize, come to develop through a process which we call it what? The process that we use for ma'qulat ula, tajreed. Through the process of tajreed, tajreed means to separate, to leave aside. Through the process of tajreed, our mind reflects on juz'iyat, on particulars, leaves aside their particularities, and comes up with the universal concept which is common between them. Like you see Zayd, Amr, Bakr, they are different in their size, in their shape, in their age, in their gender, for example. It can be men and women also. You leave these aside and you understand common humanity between them. You come up with the concept of al-insan. What's the difference between al-insan and Zayd and Bakr? Zayd and Bakr are particulars. They are juz'i. Zayd is only one. Amr is only one. But insan can be applied to more than one. What is the relation between insan and Zayd and Bakr? Insan is mahiyya for Amr and Bakr. It's their essence. It can be complete essence. We call it no'. It can be partial essence, which we call it what? Jins or fasl. If it is partial essence and it is common, it's jins. If it is specific, it's fasl, differential. So, al-mafahimul mahawiyya are understood when our mind reflects on juz'iyat. It can be Zayd and Bakr. It can be, for example, there is a book on Arabic, there is a book on English here, there is another book, but I come up with the concept of book. Okay? Even sometimes it can be reflection on the things that we understand internally. For example, the concept of happiness. I was happy yesterday, I was happy today, and I see you are happy and someone else is happy. From these particular instances, I come up with the concept of happiness. So, insan or happiness or horse or wood or water, all these concepts are mahuvi. And it's very easy to come to this. You just need tajreed, separation. But sometimes our mind goes further. Those who studied philosophy here, you remember this saying. One of the most important creatures of God is human mind. human mind is very, very special. Not only human mind can understand external objects, in other words, can choose external objects as subject for a study and tries to understand them, human mind can even try to understand itself. At one level of mind, you look at another level of your mind and try to study it. It's amazing. And no one can be a good philosopher unless masters the way human mind works. It's very important. So sometimes our mind does something more. Instead of just focusing on particular things, it can work on the universal concepts and comes up with a secondary concept. For example, we have in logic many concepts, and these are all secondary. The concept of kulli itself, kulli, mafhum al-kulli, mafhum al-kulli is not as easy understood as mafhum al-insan. So you first look at Zayd and back, you say insan. Then different horses, you say horse. Then you reflect on horse and insan, and you find both of them are kulli. So it's a second level. Juz'i, the concept of juz'i. The concept of no, jins, fasl, araz am, araz khas, burhan, all these are mantiqi, logical. And sometimes can be philosophical. For example, you see fire is burning wood. There is fire, there is burning, there is wood. But how do you understand causality? Where is causality? Is causality in the wood? No. Is the causality in the fire? No. Is it physically between the? No. But it is something that your mind understands. It's not also illusion. It's not, a kind of mistake. There is a really cause and effect. Yeah, the cause and effect are really there. You know that if this fire was not there, the wood was not burning. Causality is معقول الثانية فلسفي. Aliyah is not something which is mahuvi. Because there is no thing that you can point and say this is cause. Yes, you can say there is fire, but the title of causality is falsafi. Muslim philosophers sometimes make the distinction in this way. You find this very common in books. They say in al-ma'qulat al-ula, primary intelligibles, or what we call what? Al-mafahimul mahubiyya. They say al-urudhu fi al-dhihn and al-urudhu fi al-kharij and al-ittisafu fi al-kharij. What does it mean? I explain this because if you open, any book on Islamic philosophy in classic texts, you find this. So you have to learn these things. Al-uruz and al-ittisaf. It means the materialization, the happening, the existence of these things is external, and ittisaf, to be described, also is external. In other words, something external is described as insan. Of course, you can think of insan in mind, but that's reflection of that. Something which is outside is insan, it's faras, it's horse, it's bagar, it's cow, whatever. Uruz fil kharij, ittisaf fil kharij. In المعقولات الثانية المنطقية, in the logical secondary intelligibles, العروض في الذهن والاتصاف في الذهن. Because it's about mafahim which are only here, and the qualities also for them in mind. And of course it's obvious, when uruz is في الذهن, ittisaf has to be في الذهن. It's obvious. So something in mind, like mafhumul insan, you say it's kulli. So uruz في الذهن, ittisaf في الذهن. But what is difficult more than anything else is al-ma'qulat al-thaniya al-falsafiyya, which means al-uruz في الذهن al-ittisaf في الخارج. If you understand this, it's worse for the whole day. Al-uruz في الذهن al-ittisaf بالخارج. What does it mean? The example of fire helps a lot. Where is the place for causality? Is causality something external? No. But what is given the title of cause? Fire. Fire is external. So al-ittisaf fil kharij means you describe something which is external, but the description itself is coming from mind. There's a big difference between a wall being white and a wall being ma'lul. Whiteness of the wall is mahuwi. Whiteness is outside and comes for something which is outside, and the description is also outside. But when you say this wall is ma'lul, is effect. Okay, wall is described by being ma'lul, but ma'luliyah is in the mind, it's not like whiteness. When I say ma'luliyah is in mind, I mean in understanding, otherwise it's really ma'lul. So the external thing is ma'lul, but who understands this? For mafahim mahuvi, normally, not always, you can point by finger, not always, but many times you can point by finger, or you can see by senses. You can smell, you can touch, you can see, you can hear. But for sanaviyya, no, it's in mind. Okay, we mention these things to help us understand moral concepts. But you can now understand that understanding moral concept is even more difficult. And great philosophers in the world have sometimes missed the point, and so they have very radical differences when it comes to moral concepts. But before we discuss moral concepts, I have to clarify these three for you. If there is any question, you can ask me, because without understanding these three, we cannot go further. Did you understand the difference between mafahim mahuvi, mafahim sanaviyya mantiqi, mafahim sanaviyya falsafi, or not? Yes.
المعقولات الأولى والعروض في الخارج والاتصال في الخارج.
Yes. Because it's a quality outside and description is also outside. Yes.
Can summarize it,
and summarize me to repeat again. Yes. I will do that, inshallah. Yes. والاتصاف الخارج. Yes. And we cannot have opposite. We cannot have الأروز في الخارج الاتصاف في الذهن. This is not possible. You have a question?
Yes, you said that philosophers know they have radical differences when it comes to this 7 point.
Moral philosophers have radical differences when it comes to classifying moral concepts. Whether they fall under, for example, معقولات أولى or ثانية, is it falsafi or mantiqi? There are big differences, inshallah, I will mention. Okay, a quick summary. So, moral concepts are not exception to universal concepts. So we have to discuss universal concept, al-mafahim al-kulliyah in general, then inshallah we will focus on moral concepts. Al-mafahim al-kulliyah in a general way can be divided to 3. Muslim philosophers have made this contribution to philosophy that they made 3, not only 2, 3 classes of universal concepts. First, what they call al-ma'qulat al-ula, primary intelligibles. Ma'qul means they are understood by aql. These are not understood by 5 senses. It's by aql, by mind. Okay? Actually, one of the big differences between human beings and other animals is that we can understand kulliyat. We can understand universal concepts. So, when our mind comes to notice among different things a common mahiyya, a common essence. This is called al-mafhum al-mahubi, al-ma'qul al-ula, awwal. Al-ma'qulat ula, al-ma'qul awwal. Like, we have Zayd, Amr, Bakr, few people. They can be different in color, in age, in shape, in form, in size, in age, in gender. But we are able to go beyond all these differences and find common humanity.
Can you explain the meaning of Mahavi, please?
Mahavi means it's about Mahiyya. All Mahiyat are the first group. So, insan is mafhum mahubi because insan explains mahiyya of something, and it is general, it's kulli, it's universal. Insan is a mahiyya that can exist outside, can exist, and also something which is outside can be described as insan. So al-uruz fil kharij, which exists outside. Insaniya for Zayd is in my mind only, or is outside? Is Zayd insan outside or not? Yes. And the description that we give that Zayd is insan is also outside. So Zayd, which is external, in the external world can be called insan. So this is al-uruz fil kharij wal-ittisafu fil kharij. Kharij. This is ma'qula ula. Then our mind goes further and focuses on some concepts that maybe they are themselves mahovi, maybe there are others, but focuses on them and finds out that they have some common characteristics. For example, mafhumul insan, mafhumul faras, mafhumul baqar, mafhumul kalb. Our mind works on them, says these are all anwa. No. No. Anwa is the plural. Means they are the complete mahiyya, complete essence of their instances. No is a concept that we use in mantiq and of course in philosophy, but mainly in mantiq first. Is no something that you can find outside? We never have naw'ul insan outside. It's only in mind. And therefore, we say al-uruz fi al-zihn wal-ittisaf fi al-zihn. It is something that only for mental concepts can be used. So it's a mental description for mental objects. Al-uruz fi al-zihn wal-ittisaf fi al-zihn. This is called al-ma'qul al-thani al-mantiqi. They never directly come outside. Okay? Then we have the third one. And that is al-ma'qul al-thani al-falsafi. This is in between. It is in mind, but can describe something which is outside. This is normally about the relations, about nisab and rawabit. For example, I ask you a question. One was causality. We said when we say fire is the cause of burning of wood, fire is there, but causality is in mind, but applied to something which is outside. Causality is not like fire and wood and water separately existing. I want to mention a second example. I have here two markers. One above the other. The red one is above the blue one. Okay? Now, because it was not visible. Okay. Red and blue. Is red marker really above blue marker or not? Yes. And is it above blue marker in my mind or in reality, in the external world? In the external world. But to be above, is it something that exists there, or we have only two markers? We don't have two markers plus a third thing which is called above, or a fourth thing which is to be under. So this relation of being above or under is understood by my mind. If human beings didn't exist and no intelligent being existed, they were only two markers, but to be above or under, we understand. But even if no one understood it, still this is above the other. Okay? Do you get the point?
Yes.
If no intelligent being was there, this was not understood to be above the other, but still it was above the other. So, al-uruz fi al-zihn, al-ittisaf fi al-kharij. Now that we, inshallah, understood these three, now we have to go to akhlaq. And and see what are moral concepts. When we say something is good or bad, right or wrong, is this a mafhum mahuvi, or it is ma'qul saniye, mantiqi, or falsafi? But before we go into this discussion, we have to make a quick point. And maybe this quick point would end our session today, but it's important. When we have a moral proposition, al-qadiyyatul akhlaqiyya, it can be ikhbari or insha'i. You understood this in Arabic, yeah? We say, in mantiq also, we said we have kalam, which means qawle murakkab tam. Qawle murakkab tam. Anything which is meaningful, which is compound, and it's yasih sukut. You can be silent after that. This is called kalam. It's a proposition. Then we said kalam is either ikhbar or insha. Who remembers the difference between ikhbar and insha?
Ikhbar is the statement in which you can judge whether it is true or false. Insha is something I just say.
Yeah. So ikhbar is like a statement. Something which can be either true or false. You say Zaid is, for example, son of so and so. This is either true or false. Because you are informing about something. Either this information is correct or not. يتصف بالصدق والكذب. But insha literally means to compose, to create, to generate. There are some propositions that are insha. What does it mean? It means by saying we create the meaning. We are not informing about something so that you can check and say it's true or false. We are initiating, creating the meaning. For example, I say, اذهب, go, or give, or read. This is amr. Amr is one type of insha. It's not the only type, but one type of insha is amr. Why it is insha? Because I didn't say he is going or he is not going. I say you must go. Can you say this is true or false? Pardon? Why we cannot say it is true? Maybe someone says we cannot say it is false, but why cannot say it's true? Because for the same reason that you cannot say it's false, it cannot be said it's true. Because to be true or false means there must be something against which we check this. When I say go or come or give, there is nothing that I am informing. I am initiating talab. I am initiating a demand, a request. And that's done. Whether you like it or not, it's done. Okay? Yes, we can say this command was not appropriate, for example, or was appropriate. For example, if I say to someone who is my teacher, who is higher than me, my father, for example, if I tell him, give me water, we cannot say this is false or true, but we can say this is not appropriate. That's another issue. Or someone who is millionaire and says, give me money. Give me money to buy food. We cannot say this is true or false. But we can say this is appropriate or not. Okay, you understand the difference? So, amr or nahi, prohibition, don't go, don't give, don't read, don't do this, it's a nahi. Or istifham, did you say this? I ask you a question, did you say this? Did you read this? This is not ikhbar, this is insha. By asking, I am creating this question. Or sighatu ta'ajjub. I say, what a good person he is. You cannot say this is true or false. Yes, again, it can be appropriate or not appropriate, but that's secondary thing. Meaning it's created by saying. Okay. Any moral proposition is either ikhbar or insha. Sometimes I say telling truth is good. Sometimes I say tell the truth. If I say telling truth is good, it's ikhbar. If I say tell the truth, it's insha. Some people have tried to say these are totally disconnected. Some people have tried to say they are connected. But again, these people who say they are connected, they have two opinions. One say telling truth is good can be reduced to tell the truth. And some say tell the truth can be reduced to telling the truth is good. What's the difference? Those who say telling the truth is good is reducible to tell the truth, they want to say there is no reality. You say it in the form of a statement as if you are informing about a reality, but there is no reality here. It's just expression which looks like a statement, but it is another way of saying tell the truth. And tell the truth can be just said by someone without any objective criterion. For example, there is a, suppose, head of a tribe or a dictator who says, do this, don't do this. And sometimes they can translate and say, doing this is good. Sometimes people think that in dictatorship there is no law. When a society is run by dictator, there is no law. But there is law. But the law is what? Is rewriting the demand of the dictator. So there is like a statement, but it is just rewriting the commands and prohibitions of dictator. And sometimes can be a good commander, but anything is just coming from the commander. There is no reality. But we have another idea. We say telling truth is not going back to tell the truth. It's actually the other way around. Tell the truth is a way of saying telling the truth is good. Because telling the truth is good in reality, someone also can say tell the truth. It's very important. Very, very important. So, moral propositions can be expressed in the form of ikhbar, can be expressed in the form of insha. And there are differences of opinions here. Which one is going back to the other, or they are totally independent? But no one denies that there are two ways of expressing moral position. Okay? So, we say whether it is moral statement or insha, you have two concepts at least. One is like the subject and predicate in a statement, or it is like command, say go, means someone is initiating the command. What we want to understand is what types of concepts can be used as subject, or if it is insha, when you translate it into a statement, like telling the truth. And what can be used as predicate, or if it is insha, if you put it in the form of a statement. Like tell the truth, translate tell the truth to telling the truth is good. And then you have two types of concepts. What can be subject, what can be predicate. Which of these concepts are mahuvi or falsafi or mantiqi or what? Anything, if you have another option. We said there are only three options. So the subject and the predicate both should be the same. The idea of Muslim moral philosophers like Ayatollah Misbah is that moral concepts are معقول ثانية فلسفي. معقول ثانية فلسفي, secondary philosophical intelligibles, like Aliyah. Telling the truth is good. Good is معقول ثانية فلسفي, and telling truth or justice or I don't know, or for example, say abortion is bad, killing is bad, murder is bad. These are all falsafi. With respect to the subject, it's very easy. Because when you say justice, when you say injustice, when you say kindness, charity, this type of thing, it's easy to know that these are not mahuvi. Even if you say killing or walking, for example, you shouldn't think these are mahuvi, because in akhlaq, in the science of akhlaq, we are not concerned with these actions as mahiyya. So, even when we talk about murder, we are not concerned about the physics of the action. Yes, physics of the action is from maghulay fi'l, which is mahuvi. You know, maghulay fi'l and yaf'al. We are not talking about the physics of the action. Or for example, when we say theft, sirqah, theft, sometimes you are talking about the physics of this action, this is mahuvi, but physics of the action is not different from when you take your own money. The moral concept of theft is different from, because if you say theft means putting hand in your pocket, this is not theft. Pockets of someone else is not. But if it is moral concept of theft, it's like illiyah, it's like causality. Means there is no permission, there is no right for you to do that. So, mawzu'at, subjects are mafhum saniye falsafi. Mahmulat, like good, bad, right, wrong, ought not, obligation, are also ma'qul saniye falsafi. We don't have any mahiyya for them outside. There is no such a thing as good or bad or right or wrong or justice like human beings, horse, wood, water. We don't have such moral objects outside. And they are not also only in mind, because these are not mantiqi in the sense of like no and These are describing external things but understood by aql. الأروز في الذهن والاتصاف في الخارج. Inshallah, study, do mubahasa, and then we can explain further if needed.
We are going to ask you, no E. Can you explain that again? No E. What do you mean by no E?
No,
No E. Yes. No E. No E. No E. Just use the word.
I didn't say no E. No.
No E.
Yeah, no. No is, when you have the complete mahiyya of something, like for example, insan, it's haywan and natiq. So when you have haywan and natiq, it's not just chance or fast. It's the complete mahiyya. You're welcome. So please do a study and do mubahasa and be ready for next week, because inshallah I will try to briefly mention different opinions, and then we say what is the, again, Islamic understanding of mafahim. And then we have to discuss how we come to know them, because we said there are two issues. One is what is the reality of this mafahim. The second is how we come to know them. So please be prepared, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.